with either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
As we've seen Meghan Markle put out
something strange is going down behind the iron gates of Buckingham Palace. And this time, it's not some silly tabloid headline. Something cold, cautious, and quietly serious is unfolding right under everyone's noses. Insiders are whispering that top royal advisors have launched what they're calling an internal verification review. And it's connected to Archie and Lilibet. That's right, this isn't gossip. This is the kind of quiet palace move that almost never happens. Because when it comes to the monarchy, uncertainty is their biggest enemy. The crown can handle scandal, but confusion about lineage? That's what truly shakes the system. Think about it. Titles can be stripped, duties can be taken away, but questions about bloodline hit at the very core of royal identity. For centuries, the rule has been clear. The line of succession must be beyond doubt. And now, for the first time in years, that very rule is being tested again. So why now? Why poke at a subject the palace usually buries in silence? According to insiders, a chain of quiet inconsistencies finally piled up. Little errors that couldn't be brushed aside anymore. We're talking missing signatures, mismatched records, paperwork that didn't fit royal protocol. Each detail looked harmless alone. But together, it painted a worrying picture.
More and more content connected to her children, whether that's the pregnancy video that made the entire world cringe from secondhand embarrassment.
Doctor looked up, her mouth set in a particular way. Things were getting serious. I said to Meg, my love, you need a push.
Did Meghan Markle use a surrogate? That's been something posited literally for well over 3 years when it comes to her firstborn son Archie and even her daughter Lilibet. And many people even wonder, are their children even real?
Did Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
This is absolutely insane that they thought they could get away with it, especially Meghan Markle and Harry. The con of the century, 2 cons of the century in the form of 2 royal children included in the line of succession.
That's when the senior officials stepped in and decided to dig deeper. Their first stop? The earliest and most important document tied to the Sussex children, Archie's birth certificate. For any normal family, it's just a piece of paper, but for the royal family, it's something far bigger. A constitutional record, a legal cornerstone for someone who might stand close to the throne one day. Every royal document is meant to be precise, consistent, and permanent. But Archie's birth certificate? It didn't stay that way. Months after he was born, something quietly shifted behind palace doors. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was suddenly erased from the record. In its place appeared a cold official phrase, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No first name, no last name, just the title approved by the Crown. That's not just strange, that's almost unheard of. Someone had to request it, someone had to approve it, and someone had to record it. But why? What could possibly justify changing a royal child's foundational document? When investigators looked back, things got murky fast. Meghan's camp said the palace demanded the change, but palace insiders fired back, saying it was her side who insisted.
Succession.
Whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know, the first interview, we all know that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home.
That Meghan put on her Instagram feed earlier this week with Archie in the garden. What did you see?
But I had to take my children to Professor Bolstrop, who was the leading expert in
2 stories, no solid proof, and not a single consistent explanation. And the worst part, no visible paper trail showing why the edit was ever made. Inside the palace, uncertainty is poison. Scandal fades, but confusion about records and lineage? That's dangerous. So if Archie's birth record was altered once, the question became, why touch it at all? That's when the quiet review turned into a full-blown internal investigation. Officials started retracing every step from the day Archie was born, and suddenly more irregularities popped up. Tiny things, subtle breaks from royal tradition, but they stood out because the palace normally operates with military-level precision. First, the announcement itself. For generations, royal births follow an exact sequence. Verified birth, official medical confirmation, a palace bulletin on display, and finally, a carefully managed photo call. But with Archie, the pattern was flipped. The world learned he'd been born before the palace confirmed anything. Hours went by with no clear details, and even when information came, it was oddly vague. No hospital steps moment, no official witness statement. Just a short, almost staged appearance days later that felt more like a media setup than a royal ceremony. Then came the mystery of the location. Early reports claimed one hospital, later reports hinted at another. Even insiders struggled to reconcile the timeline with official procedures. Usually, royal births are witnessed by appointed doctors, midwives, and senior staff.
The field at that time, at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital it was, and he was going to be investigating. And of course, you know my boys, so you know they're very spirited. That she has that child in a vice-like grip. And it's, you know, if they were a husband and wife team, there are laws now about coercion.
All meticulously documented for history. But when the palace team cross-checked Archie's timeline, they found gaps. Not proof of wrongdoing, but definite holes where royal documentation should have been airtight. And if Archie's record raised questions, Lilibet's birth made the whole situation even messier. Archie's paperwork was odd, but at least it existed inside the royal system. Lilibet's? It was handled entirely across the Atlantic. Her birth was announced through Meghan and Harry's California team. No British doctors, no royal medical officials, no palace bulletin, not even the traditional golden easel outside Buckingham Palace. Instead, the public got a sleek press release and a few polished photos. The kind of rollout you'd expect from Hollywood, not the House of Windsor. For an ordinary celebrity, that would have been fine. But for a child tied by blood to the royal lineage, skipping every British tradition and verification protocol sent quiet shockwaves through the institution. Something about that process, or lack of one, left senior aides deeply uneasy, and it pushed the palace review into uncharted territory. It's a break unlike anything the palace has seen in hundreds of years, a total shakeup of royal protocol. Traditionally, every royal birth is verified by doctors personally approved by the crown. Records are filed instantly, witnesses are logged, and the birth location is confirmed beyond any doubt. But with Lilibet, none of those familiar royal pillars were visible. And as palace investigators started piecing together the timeline, the contradictions just kept stacking up. Even Meghan's public appearances during her pregnancy, through Zoom calls and paparazzi photos,
has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up about how Meghan and Harry have handled all of this, as well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate.
Harry and Meghan's kids. And do they honestly exist? Now, I know that that's kind of like a little bit conspiratorial, but you know what? I'm down the rabbit hole now since I've accepted the moon bump story. And if the moon bump story was true and she didn't actually have these pregnancies, then is it possible that she has faked having the kids?
Didn't paint a consistent picture. Some shots made her look further along, others made people wonder if the timing lined up at all. By themselves, those things might have meant nothing, but when combined with the lack of official royal documentation, it all began to look suspiciously inconsistent. And Buckingham Palace's reaction only made things stranger. They didn't confirm anything, but they didn't deny it either. Just total silence. Watching, waiting, but saying nothing. That kind of quiet makes the whispers grow louder, and everyone inside the palace knew it. Still, the biggest red flag didn't come from the birth itself. It came from what was supposed to come after, the event that would officially link Lilibet to the monarchy forever, her christening. Before senior advisors could even touch that topic, they had to go back to the foundation, the actual royal laws that define who is and isn't officially recognized as a royal child. And that's when an old document suddenly became the focus of everything. The 1917 Letters Patent, written by King George V over a century ago. That document might sound dusty and outdated, but its rules are still the backbone of royal legitimacy today. It spells out exactly which descendants of a monarch qualify for royal titles and recognition. But hidden in all that formal, historic wording lies one very clear principle. Royal status isn't symbolic. It must be verifiable. To be recognized under the crown, a child has to meet strict constitutional criteria. First, the lineage must be traceable and fully documented.
Birth index, and per the website at the CaliforniaBirthIndex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California, abstracts of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official record
she wanted a home birth. It was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019.
Second, the birth itself must follow established royal procedure, witnessed, recorded, and confirmed. And third, the ceremonial confirmations must be conducted under the Church of England. These aren't just customs or nice traditions. They're safeguards designed to prevent any disputes over the throne. Normally, these steps are followed without question. Royal births happen in the UK under supervision, with official witnesses and immediate filings. But with Archie and Lilibet, too much unfolded outside of that system. Foreign birth locations, missing royal witnesses, irregular documentation, and clashing timelines. And all of that led straight to the one ceremony that was supposed to clear up everything. But instead, it opened the biggest question of all, the christening that wasn't recorded. That's where everything hit a breaking point. What most people see as a sweet family ritual, candles, godparents, a few pictures and prayers, is actually one of the most serious constitutional acts in the royal system. A christening officially binds a royal child to the Church of England, the same church that's inseparable from the crown itself. It's the moment where history, faith, and monarchy merge into one permanent record. That's why Meghan's announcement that Lilibet had been christened in California sent immediate shockwaves through royal circles. Because if that ceremony had really been recognized under Church of England authority, there should have been proof. A registry entry, a signed confirmation, or at the very least, some acknowledgement from the Archbishop's office. Even private royal ceremonies always leave a traceable paper trail. But when palace advisors quietly checked the church's records, there was nothing. No entry under Lilibet's name.
Meghan and Harry did instead was they did not announce it when Meghan went into labor, for whatever reason. They kept Archie's birth private for over 8 hours. They did not tell people that he was actually born and arrived until 8 hours later. They also issued a confusing press release suggesting Meghan had just gone into labor after Archie had already been born. So they were playing games here with this. And the result was that the media and the public felt misled because they were missing.
No certificate, no signature, and no formal acknowledgement from any official cleric. For any royal child, that would be highly irregular. For one tied by blood to the line of succession, it's practically unheard of. This missing record didn't just raise eyebrows, it created what insiders are calling a quiet constitutional problem. Royal christenings aren't just sentimental, they're legal markers that confirm a child's place in both church and state. Without that entry, Lilibet's royal connection wasn't merely uncertain, it was incomplete. And that gap pushed Buckingham Palace to act. From that moment, the palace shifted from silent observation to organized internal review. Not a scandal, not a public showdown, a classified case file. The kind the monarchy opens when something doesn't align with royal precedent. Senior advisors, archivists, constitutional lawyers, and church liaisons were all brought together. Their mission wasn't emotional or accusatory. It was purely procedural. Reconstruct every single step surrounding Archie and Lilibet's births, announcements, and ceremonies, and compare them to royal standards. Piece by piece, they began assembling the timeline. Every document, statement, medical note, and ceremonial record tied to the Sussex children. And as those dates and files stacked up, the inconsistencies became impossible to ignore. Missing witnesses, unsigned hospital confirmations, confusion over medical staff, delayed paperwork, and signatures that didn't fit standard royal documentation. Even differences between Meghan and Harry's own accounts raised new questions.
We have to come out and show the baby in some way, but we're not coming out to the street. The filthy masses are not going to have anything to do with our kid. So then they show up, and there's Meghan in her white dress with Harry, and he's holding this completely still baby.
Individually, none of it was dramatic enough to spark a scandal, but together, it painted a pattern, one the monarchy couldn't just brush aside. Because inside the royal institution, uncertainty is far more dangerous than public outrage. A disputed timeline breeds doubt, and doubt threatens legitimacy, the very foundation the monarchy stands on. Behind closed doors, the file kept growing thicker by the day, and slowly, one question began to echo through the palace corridors. What does all of this mean for Meghan and Harry? In Montecito, the mood is reportedly tense, nothing like the calm, polished image seen on social media. Both Meghan and Harry understand exactly what a royal verification review means, and it's not good news. Because this isn't about gossip or criticism, this is about status, standing, and long-term credibility. For Meghan, the risk is enormous. Not just personally, but professionally. Her entire post-royal image has been built around one core identity: the modern Duchess, the elegant mother of royal children, the woman who stepped away from the palace but still carried its glow. That royal mystique has been the heartbeat of her success. It powered the Netflix deals, the book contracts, the high-profile interviews, and even the American Riviera Orchard brand. If that mystique cracks, if the official foundation beneath it starts to wobble, then everything tied to it begins to shake too. And inside the palace, that's exactly what has people watching the Sussex story more closely than ever before. Now that Buckingham Palace's quiet review has shifted into full gear, the walls around Meghan and Harry's carefully built empire are starting to close in. And the pressure is intense. Behind the glossy photos, the calm interviews, and the brand partnerships, there's a storm brewing.
It just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. He was going to be a private citizen. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed race child. And then it was kind of like, and then later she kind of
that not even their PR team can fully control anymore. Because if the palace confirms that certain royal protocols were skipped, ignored, or simply never recorded, it doesn't just challenge paperwork. It challenges the entire narrative that Meghan and Harry have been selling since they stepped down. Every deal, every endorsement, every brand move that leans on their royal connection suddenly becomes fragile. Let's be real. The whole American dream version of their story depends on that royal thread. Meghan isn't just a former actress, she's the Duchess. Harry isn't just a charity speaker, he's the prince. Strip away the royal credibility, and what's left is just two public figures who left the institution but still relied on its prestige to stay relevant. Inside Buckingham Palace, this isn't about revenge. It's about protecting the crown's long-term legitimacy. Advisors reportedly believe the monarchy can survive scandal, but not confusion, especially confusion about lineage, birthrights, and who officially holds royal status. That's why the internal case file is being handled like a state secret. Because if the findings confirm that critical steps were bypassed, the monarchy has to decide how to handle the fallout without tearing its image apart. Insiders say the palace isn't eager to humiliate Meghan or Harry publicly, but it will protect its own institution first. And that's where things get complicated. If any royal birth or christening doesn't meet the strict standards outlined under royal law, that doesn't mean the children are personally at fault. It means the palace has the right to reclassify their status. That could mean reviewing titles, revising line of succession references.
Archie had been born for several hours at that point is a foolish game to play. And it only diminished credibility and trust. And it honestly made people kind of mad and irritated about the situation because it's like, well, why would you do that? Why are you lying to people? Why are you trying to mislead people?
Or clarifying official recognition in future records. For the monarchy, it's about constitutional accuracy. For Meghan, it's about identity and brand survival. Because everything she's built since leaving the UK depends on one thing: the illusion of royal certainty. Take that away, and suddenly, her whole platform looks unstable. Even some of Meghan's allies in the media are starting to shift their tone. Outlets that once defended every decision are now carefully choosing their words, acknowledging that the palace might have legitimate reasons for the review. It's not open hostility, it's cautious distance. The kind of distance people create when they sense a brand's power beginning to fade. Meanwhile, Meghan's camp is reportedly trying to get ahead of the narrative, quietly reaching out to select journalists, emphasizing that she and Harry followed all necessary steps, that everything was done properly, and that any missing records are just clerical oversights. But that explanation isn't convincing everyone. In royal history, clerical oversights simply don't happen at this scale. And then there's Harry, who despite his public silence, is said to be privately furious about what's happening. For him, this feels like history repeating itself, the institution tightening control, questioning motives, and putting reputation above family. But inside the palace, officials see it differently. They see it as doing their job, preserving the purity of succession and protecting centuries of tradition from being diluted by unverified claims. Now, if you think all of this is just about old paperwork or outdated rituals, think again. The palace operates on precedent, and once something like this happens, it sets an example for the future. If they let inconsistencies slide with Archie and Lilibet, it opens the door for any future royal family member to demand flexibility.
They would refuse to kind of show him. They finally kind of showed him off in South Africa, and it was very much, kind of a display, and she went to the polo match, and again, people wondered because it's like, she just it was a very stiff way she was holding him. It was just looked odd, and you looked at her and compared her to Kate, and you can't.
That's something the monarchy simply can't afford. This is why the stakes are so high, and why Meghan's inner circle is reportedly panicking behind the scenes. Not because they think the palace will punish them, but because a public clarification, even a subtle one, could completely shift public perception. If Buckingham Palace quietly rephrases something as simple as children of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex instead of royal children, it instantly changes how the world sees their place in history and how lucrative that title really is. There's also a growing divide among royal watchers. Some believe the palace should just move on, arguing that modernizing means relaxing some of the older traditions. But others, including several constitutional experts, insist that the monarchy's strength lies precisely in its consistency. The moment royal rules start bending for individuals, they say, the institution loses its authority. Behind the scenes, the palace's legal and clerical team continues to cross-check every available document, from hospital records to baptism confirmations. They're not looking for scandal. They're looking for structure. The monarchy thrives on certainty, and until every record aligns, the case file remains open. Meanwhile, in California, Meghan's PR team is working overtime to maintain control of the story. Every new appearance, every subtle social media post, every source close to the couple statement is being carefully timed. But there's only so much spin that can counter a royal inquiry. Because once the palace releases even a quiet clarification, even a brief statement confirming the existence of inconsistencies, that alone could be enough to shake global headlines.
She and her child are both doing well. So back to the tradition of putting out a framed bulletin or a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births has been going on since 1837, so it's a cool tradition. And George, Charlotte, and Louis' easels listed the doctors' names with signatures, birth weight and time, and referenced the royal family. But Archie's notably only included mention of...
And that's the danger zone Meghan and Harry now face. The review doesn't have to find wrongdoing. It doesn't have to make accusations. All it needs to do is confirm that certain documents, traditions, or ceremonies don't meet royal standards, and suddenly their entire royal narrative becomes questionable. This is why insiders describe the mood around the Sussexes as tight-lipped and tense. They know the palace isn't bluffing. Once the crown decides to verify something, it's no longer personal, it's procedural. That's the one fight no royal can win through PR alone. The public might see smiling photos and calm confidence, but behind closed doors, everyone knows what's really at stake. Legacy, identity, and a level of credibility that money or media strategy can't buy back once it's gone. And if Buckingham Palace decides to go public, even in a quiet, polished statement, it won't just affect the Sussexes' relationship with the monarchy. It'll ripple through their business empire, their brand deals, and their entire public image as modern royals living their truth. The clock is ticking, the review is still ongoing, and the one thing no one in Montecito can control is what the palace decides to reveal next. She's doing her best to project confidence, calm smile, polished image, perfect control, but deep down, the situation has shifted in a way she can't fully manage anymore. Because when a duchess's royal connection through her children becomes uncertain, it changes everything. A royal mother without royal children? That's not just an image problem, that's an identity crisis on a global stage. For Harry, the blow cuts much deeper. This isn't about media perception or business deals, it's about his entire sense of belonging. All his life, he was told his bloodline mattered.
Child's identity.
And then the next holiday card we see, I believe it was the famous Lilibet's born, and here's little Archie. And that little kid who's Archie doesn't look anything like the little kid we've seen in the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix that we saw. I don't know who that kid was in the picture, or even Lilibet doesn't look like the picture that they've shown of her. Those kids...
Because this is what's called plausible deniability. They want to be able to say, hey, we never claimed that she was our daughter in that announcement. They're legally covering their backs There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily quit her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily or delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing. That is a vital sentence that Meghan Markle chose not to put in an official statement because she knows
that no matter what choices he made, his children would always remain part of the royal future. But now, that belief is slipping away right in front of him. Insiders say he's been emotional, frustrated, even pleading with senior royals for answers. But the palace walls have gone silent. Once the crown moves into legal review territory, feelings don't count anymore. The system becomes cold, calculated, and focused solely on protecting the institution itself. Meghan and Harry can talk, they can explain, but they can't stop what's already in motion. The royal review is happening, and it's bigger than both of them. Now, the question everyone's whispering about is what Buckingham Palace will actually do next. The internal file is reportedly complete, detailed, methodical, and built piece by piece with every document, record, and historical comparison laid out in full. The monarchy is now entering the final stage, the one Meghan and Harry have been dreading, the decision phase. And in royal history, the crown always makes choices that protect the throne, not the people involved. According to insiders, there are a few paths the palace might quietly take. It could choose subtle distance.
Netflix and Oprah that Archie was denied a prince title due to institutional decisions, possibly rooted in race. Buckingham Palace's position was that Archie wasn't entitled to a title.
They may deal with questions about this surrogacy, and the only people they have to blame are their own parents who have fueled these
keeping everything official on paper, but removing future recognition and ceremonial inclusion. No statement, no scandal, just a gradual fade into royal background. Over time, the Sussex children would simply stop appearing in royal mentions or future plans. Another possibility being discussed privately is quiet reclassification, treating the children as private individuals rather than active royals. No public humiliation, no headlines, just a quiet administrative change that separates them from the core royal framework. They would still be family by blood, but not officially part of the crown's active lineage. And then there's the harshest path, the one no one wants to talk about, but everyone fears. If the internal review finds the birth or christening documentation doesn't meet royal standards, the palace could formally update the record, removing titles and recognition completely. It would be done legally, cleanly, and without emotion. No anger, no public drama, just the monarchy safeguarding its own foundation.
About her experiences on podcasts or things like that, or just posting a lot more pictures. It has drawn a lot of attention to the controversies surrounding her kids, her pregnancies, how the children came into the world, the whole thing. Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversy.
And that's the chilling part, because when it comes to survival, the crown has only one rule: protect the institution above all else. Meghan and Harry built their global empire around royal mystique, but the palace still holds the power to define what's real and what's symbolic. They built the brand, but the monarchy still owns the ink, and one single signature could rewrite everything. That's the real message behind this review. No matter how powerful a personality becomes, the crown always endures. People fade, scandals pass, but the monarchy stays standing, untouched and unshaken. Before this story takes its next dramatic turn, make sure you're ready for whatever comes next. Hit like so more people can see the truth, subscribe to stay updated on every royal twist, and drop a comment below. Should the palace make their findings public or keep it behind closed doors? Because this saga isn't ending, it's only just beginning. See you on the next one.